Hey, good evening, and I'm joined by my dear friend. I'm joined by my dear friend Peter for a little talk about basically men. We don't really talk about our issues, but what we go through. And my other friend Alan Bates, who wrote this book and whose podcast channel this is yeah, he interviewed me a while ago, and I'm doing likewise with other friends and other people. You know, and in my interview, there's some dark places I went to, also some uplifting things and things I do now. So Peter's kindly going to join us and talk about his past and what he does now. And I do know Peter personally. I know some of his story. He'll introduce himself to you now.
Yeah, thanks, Antonio. What's to say? I'm Peter, and very difficult to follow that on with just my name's Peter, but it is Peter. Um, Thanks, Antonio. Antonio sent me over the podcast he did with Alan, and I know you, I know Antonio of old for I don't know how long now, for 15, 16 years, through some different scenarios, institution stuff really, but outside of that as friends, actually, long-term friends now, and you sent me over that the podcast, where
Who
Alan,
Alan you know for?
yeah. And I was really taken with Alan's struggle, Alan's situation, and it's something that pricks me straight away, because it's a lot of stuff that men go through, and struggle with, and I still am to a certain extent with my health. Similar stuff, not quite as profound as what Alan's going through currently, but a touch and go with my life really, and I had an awful lot of help from the NHS to remove some bits and put me back together again, and so I was just shy of stage 4 cancer, actually, and they removed the tumour, and then I had an assault of chemotherapy for quite a long time, and as a result of that, from 2019 to now, I'm still here, and and that was at that stage in 2019, it wasn't looking good. So I've got 6 and a bit years.
Been for the ringer.
Yeah, I've been through the ringer, but I've got six extra years so far plus, and and all good, and I'm and and
Do you want to tell us about your growing up, Pete? Tell us
yeah,
about your
yeah,
growing up,
yeah. But
please.
all I'm saying really is that it touched me what Alan was saying, and so it kind of encouraged me to participate in this. So I'm nearly 64 years of age now, and grew up in Hornsey, in Crouch End, actually. Mum and Dad met in Ireland. My dad chased my mum to Manchester, asked her out, and the rest is history. And they moved to London, and moved to Brixton, and not too far from where my dad's family were from originally, in Lavender Hill, and they had a flat on Electric Avenue, and then my dad went out to work, did double shifts, and ended up coming over this way. We worked Kilburn and West London, and made his way to North West London, and then North London. Ended up doing some work for a rabbi in Crouch End, and he had a flat on offer in Crouch End back in the day, and they moved from Electric Avenue to Crouch End, long time ago. Crouch End has got it's Cruchon, it's called now, but back then it still had a lot of ordinary folk knocking about. There was a lot of the ordinary families, Irish mix of all sorts, of every nation actually. All the pubs had football teams and darts teams and jukeboxes and music.
And your team is, Peter? Your team is?
I'm a gooner. I'm a gooner. I'm a gooner for my sins. And yeah, yeah. Well, funny thing was that we where we were living, we went to Spurs and we went to Arsenal early doors because my dad was a football fan.
I don't hear that.
and but at a certain age, you've got to choose who you're going to support, don't you? And so my brother opted for Tottenham and I opted for Arsenal, and so began our in-house rivalry. And you know, at 10, 11 years of age,
Likewise, my brother too.
yeah, same thing, right? And it's the sort of age where you start getting fanatical. I can remember my dad in 1971 doing the Charlie George when Charlie George skidded down on his backside and threw his hands in the air, lay down on the Wembley turf after scoring against Liverpool. And I saw my dad do that dive, and I sort of fell in love with Arsenal from that. And and so they were my team. And then it went, obviously, I ended up going in the schoolboys. I think it was 20 pence equivalent of then. What was it? What's that? Don't know, 2 bob or something, I don't know. And standing in the schoolboys, and yeah, so I got that became a love. Still is. Whenever I walk down from the station to go and see Arsenal, walk past what used to be the Plimsoll. I don't know if it still is now. Used to be the Plimsoll Arms and walk that way, and it always gets me when I walk down there because I think, yeah, I used to do that when I was a tiny tot. That walk and still do it, you know. Love the Arsenal. Yeah, so football was a massive part of things for me, and I was fascinated, and I couldn't wait for a cup final day and big games, and I took the excitement. I had early stages of things going on for me because I love the euphoria from football. And anything to do with it, I fantasised about it, daydreamed about it. You know, it took over a lot for me, even as a child. That's the kind of roots of the Arsenal stuff. But then, as a growing up situation, so I remember I was a bit of a complex kid, really, and I know now. After doing a lot of stuff over the years, and finally at 64 years of age almost, I'm finding out a lot about me. I quite like myself now, but I lived in it was a bit of a fantasist. I had addictions to sugar. I never wanted to conform. I went to school at 5 years of age, and I remember going into the primary school, standing outside the door like it was yesterday. And it had a 4-page George and White glass. It was an Oxford blue colour with a brass handle. My mum stood me there. Teacher opened the door, and in this classroom were kids screaming and hollering at each other and holding hands and singing songs. And it was St George's. They were building a dragon for St George's Day in the background out of cardboard boxes. So I've got this vision of a fucking great dragon, a school teacher I didn't know, and a load of kids who were getting on together and intermingling and being friends with each other, and who wants to play kiss chase and all this. And I thought, what is that? I couldn't identify with it, and it just turned my stomach, and I wanted to run, and I just thought, I don't want to do this. From the very off, even from that early age, I thought, I do not want to participate in whatever this is. And so I was very quiet initially, and the teachers knew that. And then I found somebody who was like me. I found an individual who was dysfunctional, if you will, like me, and just made stupid noises in the classroom, disrupted, threw things around the classroom, got attention like that. It was a form of communication because I didn't really understand how people kind of gelled, kids gelled, and so I just didn't get it. I thought it was a bit naff. Even at that age, I was watching and thinking, nah, this isn't me. And even though I could draw pictures, I loved music, I was good at sports. My motor skills were good, primarily from my dad. My dad played so many sports, and so I conformed to that. But anything in terms of discipline and being told what to do, it just it just wasn't part of me. And it wasn't as if I was a kind of Johnny Rebel. I just didn't understand it. I just didn't understand that anybody outside the four walls of my own family could tell me what to do. And that was I paid for that a lot in life. And so that was
You got into boxing and some gangs as well, Pete. You got into boxing.
Yeah, well, initially I found I got suspended from school constantly, and in the end they kept me off school. They said I could do my exams at the end of the school when I'm 15, 16 years of age. So I didn't really go to school a lot in the end. I bunked off initially, and then I got pretty much thrown out, and said I was allowed to go back and do my exams, but that was all. And in the middle of that, someone come to the door collecting for cancer research. And he was usually an old boy, but it was his dad. He wasn't as well, so his son's come round to do it. And his son turned up at my door. I went and opened it, and he had a skinhead haircut, quarter-inch braces, a Crombie on, tonic trousers, and a pair of loafers. And I thought, there's me sitting there watching Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel and David Bowie, and I thought, nah, I want to be that. He just looked too cool. And so I started talking to him, and he said to me, we go down to a pub in Waterloo, the Wellington in Waterloo, on a Friday night, and it's full of punks and skinheads and mods, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll have some of that. And so I got my hair cut in no time, bought myself boots and braces and a suit and stuff, and I went down there and I opened the door of this pub at 15, 16 years of age. What was it? Snake bites then. Was a drink, wasn't it? It was like light and bitter. I always think light and bitter. It was horrible to taste, but you got a kind of pint and a half's worth out of it for the same money. So a snake bite was the thing, wasn't it? And the pub was just full of people with bright coloured hair, spiky hair, no hair. Everybody had a nickname. They didn't have a real name, and so it was a fantasy. I didn't have to be. I could reinvent myself. And so began initially a load of fun and a great new way to live my life outside of the norm, non-conformity sort of stuff, if you will. But of course, with that, then eventually, I was already doing drugs, and I got myself involved with experimenting in all sorts of stuff, and eventually, one way and another, long story short, at sort of 16, 17 years of age, I was wandering around King's Cross doing drugs I didn't even, they don't even do now, actually. There was a thing called Tunal and stuff like that, all manner of nonsense. And I took to the streets thinking it was really cool, and before I know it, I'm wandering around with all manner of like emphysego, scabies, and like, not a good look. And very unwell, and but I loved the music scene. I was out every single night. We used to get Melody Maker, Enemy, and Sounds. Put a line underneath for different bands we're going to see all over London. Never pay on the train. Bunk the train. Bunk into the venue if we didn't get thrown out, and watch just about every band there was to watch. So it was attractive, and I had the energy to do it then because I was a kid. But yeah, and then I got involved in all sorts of street gang stuff, really, for want of a better way of putting it. It's nothing romantic or glamorous about any of that, and but we stuck together because it was like the kids now. Everyone complains about how the kids are now on the street. I kind of identify in some way because it's like a subculture, and with kids with similar backgrounds and ways of thinking or escapism, and who just wanted to be part of a different form of society, and it fitted. And yeah, it took me to some very dark places in the end, that one as well. So what else is there? I can ramble on and take you right the way through, but I'll probably get the dates all mixed
But
up.
you pulled out eventually from that addiction. Can you tell us a little bit about your mindset as you were going through the other traumas? Your health, other health,
Yeah,
including the addiction, but the main
yeah,
health ones. The cancer.
yeah. Well,
What you had to get through your lowest then.
yeah. So I mean, I could get bogged down with all that stuff, couldn't I? So thank you for dragging me through it there. But
I apologise for bringing it back. Sorry.
yeah. No. Sorry, I do so because I can get lost in it, Antonio. I actually don't think I've got anything to say, and then when I start talking, I don't stop. You know that of me of old. But um, it's where was I? So anyway, so long and short of it was after many failed relationships, and I've got some lovely kids and grandkiddies, and my children are all doing all right, and they're self-supportive, and they manage quite nicely without me actually if they wanted to, but I have a good relationship with them generally speaking, and that's quite cool. And through some, I'm not going to blow my own trumpet here about anything, Antonio, because it was actually, it wasn't pretty where I ended up and how I ended up and how my mind was in the end and the kind of behaviour that I displayed and how I let people down and stole people's peace of mind and things like that. So, and that crippled me with guilt. And the long and short of it was I ended up having to have get involved myself. One way or the other, I found myself in a recovery process, and yeah, and I've been in that for just shy of 21 years now. I've been involved with that, and not had a drink or a drug for that period of time. Finally, after years of being in trouble and wanting to stop, and 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 it's been great. And I've been all around the world, and I've got a host of friends from what I do. I've changed my outlook at life. My perspective's changed. Where I was a lost individual who didn't understand what life was about, I've been able to, through the people that I've got to know in this new way of living, I've been able to look at things that needed tweaking and changing, and the false person that I was, I've had to sort of kind of strip all that back and get honest and be vulnerable and surrender and do all the things that we do, and be in a place of acceptance and gratitude and and then have a purpose. And that's the key to it for me, has been having a purpose, because I don't think I really had a purpose. I kind of drifted through life a lot, but with sincerity now, I've
One
got
of your purposes, I know you're very humble, but I know you've done prison service, you've done hospital service, you do hospital service, you do a lot of things for the community, which
yeah.
is not a mean thing to do. It's not a simple thing to do at all.
No,
A
I
lot of
mean,
people don't do it.
no, well, it sort of stems from wandering around King's Cross and the individuals that I met along the way who are no longer here. Actually, most of the close connections I had for long periods of time, and actually up until recently, I found out one or two have passed away. But I lost a lot of young friends along the way because they did the things that they did, and I was fortunate enough, by for the grace of God, go I, to scrape past all that. And so I've having a sense of purpose for me is I do. I mean, I work hard, and my job's quite taxing. I've got families to keep an eye on and be participating, but I haven't left anything behind. There's numerous reasons why I've involved myself with hospitals and institutions, and one of them really is amongst other things is giving back and having a purpose in life, and I feel good about myself for doing that, and it's and when we talk about the absence of self and being selfless, yeah, it's where I think is key to it. But and so I've got, keeping an eye on the ego, but I think actually a little bit of ego is not a bad thing, because I do like a little bit of, quietly like a sneaky little bit of praise for things. So I appreciate you bringing it up to a certain extent, but I truly, with a passion and with privilege, have for the best part of that 21 years, participated in prisons, secure hostels, psychiatric units, detoxes, and put my hand out to people who need help, because someone put their hand out to help me, and I really believe that's important, for myself, for my existence. To you can have all the money in the world, but I don't. But if it don't amount to anything, because you just want more of that. And it's external, and I think the riches are an internal thing, and it's kept me going, because I've had, like I say, I had an illness that was pretty much 50-50. I've been looking after, stressing in men, actually getting back round to it. It's like we have this tendency to say, "No, I'm all right, I'm sweet. No, don't worry, it's all good." And we basically nail down our worries, our concerns, our anxieties, our mental health issues, because we don't. There's a shame involved in it sometimes, and we think that we can deal with it, and it clearly is not the case. And and I've had my episodes with that as well, and sail very close to the wind with all that. And there's I go to places where there are. Well, once upon a time, it used to be like the same with hostels and homeless people on the streets. Used to be elderly people. It's the institutions are teeming with young people now. It's a very sad situation, but they are teeming with them. And
Unfortunately, yes.
you know what I mean. So and for me, I feel I've always wanted to. I've always had this yearning to be able to kind of be close to that in one respect, and because I kind of, it's weird to say it, but I feel like I've got a bit of an understanding, and then so when I sit in an institution that's locked with young people, because it's all guys that I go and see, obviously, because then women go to the women's side of things and the men go with the men, in terms of the service and help, and I'm sitting down with young fellas who are locked into places and been there, not just prisons, but in the the wards and that, and been in there for 2, 3, 4 years, and nobody's come to see them. Why wouldn't I go? Why wouldn't I go? I feel it when I say that. It's because and the thing is about this is, once you get past, because there's a label, isn't there? I truly believe that one of the things for me is that I don't believe someone's defined by their mental health. I don't. They might have a mental health issue, but that doesn't define who they are. And when you get past that, and if you spend enough time around these places, you really get to know who the individuals are as human beings. And then before you know it, when you're in there a lot of the time, you get to know that they can write songs, play the guitar like you cannot believe, sing like, I was in the other day, there was a guy singing reggae tunes in a place I was in, Gregory Isaac Nabosh, and I got blown away by the sound of his voice. It honestly had a beautiful voice, and there was somebody else in there who didn't normally talk and was really in tune with the music that was going on there. So there was this connection of a dynamic that was connecting between everybody there. That was really wonderful, and so I get to experience all those sort of things as just one person in there, not the main person, as another person in there, because I don't think.
You've seen me be in both prisons as a patient,
Yeah,
and as an inmate and a patient in the hospital. So
yeah.
I really can't thank you so much for that. I can't, because as you know, it's a lonely old place to be, And when someone comes in from outside and just gives a bit of their time, it means so much.
Yeah.
And I know you do it on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, yeah, and my sorry, I've got to kind of bring my feet down a bit because I get a bit excited with it. Because as old as I'm getting, physically, my motor skills are slowing down. I've got aches and pains. So much chemo. I mean, it's painful all the time. When I get out of bed, boy, oh boy, do I feel it. But the nature of finding a purpose is that it energizes me internally, and so for the fact that I can't charge around like I used to because I'm not getting any younger, my enthusiasm for participating in helpfulness has grown, and so we've formed there's a little crew of us that go and do some stuff at a very sensitive edge of things, and amazing boys and girls who are very humble and mature around what we're trying to achieve, and I'm really proud to be part of that. So so that's that. But what all this sort of stuff enables me to do is it enables me to feel all right about myself. You know, when I don't like my job, when I've had an argument with a member of a family or someone at work, or I'm ruminating about things because I still do that kind of stuff, or I think I'm not good enough. That's the big one. Like when my not so much these days, to be fair, because I'm kind of a bit past that. But I used to, whenever my boss rang me up at work, and I'm out in my site office, and I think, what does he want? Is he going to sack me? It was never like, is he going to praise me? Is he going to sack me? And that's yeah, I'd go to the negative, and I know there's a little bit of that quite naturally in all of us, particularly in men, because like it goes back thousands of years when we were sitting in caves and there was saber-tooth tigers, so we stuck our head out of that cave expecting the worst. So I think it's in our genetics to be concerned about negative things happening. But I suppose what I'm saying is because of the amount of men who have ideations about you know, terminating their life and stuff like that, is that there is finding a purpose and you know, getting into action and loving yourself again is part of the medicine to that, and having people who give you that hope and believe in you, and that's what we try and achieve. And so that gives me an energy to do the stuff that I do at work, and then outside of that, the time and the patience to be around my kids and to appreciate all the amazing things that they do at a distance, I might add, because I don't mollycoddle my kids. I just don't do that to them because they are their own human, and but I'm always there for all of them, you know, whether they know it or not.
Pete, why are you talking about family? Why are you talking about family? Can I ask? I mean, it's painful for me, you know. I've had birthdays this month, my mum's birthday, my dad's birthday coming up, and they've both passed away.
Hmm.
And you know, one of these situations I think I used during formerly years ago. How do you cope with? I don't know, you lost your brother, you lost a former partner, passed away.
Yeah.
Can you give any suggestions how people cope, or how you cope, or just you
Well,
know,
I think
because it's a bad,
yeah.
and everyone's going to go through it.
Yeah, I think. Well, I've got. I get some good advice from the guy who, my close mouth friend who helped me through my recovery process, and he's quite straightforward with things like that, and he does say it quite candid. He says, "Well, you're still here, and what you need to be able to do around those times in your life is is to celebrate them." Is what it's about. Celebrate them, and when it comes to touching on the thing about being inspired by those that have gone, or feeling them in spirit, inspired, feeling them in spirit, that kind of thing, that they're around you. Um, what that might mean is like I've got traits of my dad, and when I say certain things or do certain things, I can see my dad. I can feel my dad when I do these things, and generally. they're good things, but it always reminds me of Dad with a fondness. You know, we had our differences, you know, but I understand him the older I've got, funny enough. And then my mum, with her caring side of her, I definitely get. My mum was like a blooming social worker in our street. All the kids used to go and see Auntie Nora. And I think I get a lot of that from her. I mean, really, they did. My mates used to bring her chocolates and flowers and cry about their girlfriends to her. That's a fact,
Wow.
you know. They go, well, she's been to see your mum. And so I think I get some of that from that. And my brother was the funniest thing on two legs. And so every time I do something that's a bit daft, I could hear him taking the piss out of me. And I feel that with a fondness. So, you know, I have got to that. And of course, I lost a lot those three people in quick succession. And so I haven't had time to ponder too long on them before the next one come along. And I think really truthfully looking at the positive parts of their characters and their personalities, because we all have an opinion of what our parents were like or what my brother might have been like and stuff like that. But when they're no longer there, and then you get that bit older and you understand life a bit more, you understand them a bit more, and the things that they did and said, you know, come true, and they ring true, you know, about. My dad was quite a disciplinarian, but I do actually see what some of the things he said were spot on the money, you know. So I celebrate them. I celebrate them because they're in me. They might be gone, but they're in me.
Can I ask? Can I ask? I lost a sister to cancer, who in America. So, but I don't really know. Well, obviously, I never had cancer myself. What is it like going through that cancer situation? Yeah, because the chemo, etc. I don't know. You see it
I,
on TV, you might hear about it. But I personally don't really know. So,
right. So what
I mean,
happened
that's
is at the
close.
end.
That's close to what Alan was going through. You know.
Right. So I've been. My mum passed away, then my brother passed away, and then my dad didn't. You know, I think because of my brother as well, it took its toll on my dad, and I actually moved in with my dad because he got vascular dementia in the end, and he needed taken care of. So I was actually working during the day, handing him over to the carers at 6 in the morning, coming back at 6 at night, having him back and doing the overnight care and going back to work. And um, um, once he passed away, my plan was to take a bit of a sabbatical. I was going to go to China and because I was doing the qigong thing at the time, that I was going to kind of speed up and, you know, become more what's the word? So I could become a sifu basically. So eventually that was my plan, and I could teach that when I retire, you know, or some form of martial arts stuff. But that never happened because once my dad passed away, I shut up his house, shut up shop, and came back to my flat. And actually, I was shutting up his place, and I'd been ill and I didn't realise because I was looking after him, and I'd gone through all these other things. And I just thought I was worn out, I had a bit of blood and stuff, and I just thought that was stomach upset and stuff. And but I sat at his table at his place when I was locking up all the doors and windows, and I thought, fuck, I feel really ill. And I thought I'd better go to the doctors, and I went to the GP. I told her what was going on, and she set me up for a camera, and they stuck a camera inside me, and funny that, because I saw the camera go up and I saw it go past something, and it didn't look like the rest of it, and I thought, oh fuck, that don't look right. And then when they brought it back down again, they went past it again, and I thought, oh, hang on. But they didn't say nothing at first, and then when when the camera went right the way back down again, if you will, she said, yeah, can we just go back up to whatever it was, you know, C20 or whatever the fuck, wherever this thing was, and it was a tumour, and it was blocking my intestines, and I wasn't going to the toilet properly, and I was bleeding and stuff like that, and you know, I was putting it off as saying it was ulcers, and I was having diarrhea because I was just all the stress I'd gone through, but obviously I just hadn't listened to my body and noticed it, so they told me there and then that I had a large tumour in me, and I had to get into the hospital as soon as possible. So the hospital were really good. Within a month or so, a couple of months, they whipped out the thing, and then I had to all the stitching and stapling and all that, because I got full of staples and what have you. Got a nice big scar top to bottom. They took a lot of me away, and and then I opened my eyes, and actually the first thing I was worried about the most was whether I was going to have a bag, a stoma bag, more so whether I was going to be alive or not. It's like a vanity thing, isn't it? I don't want to be walking around with a shit bag, if you will. That's why I saw it. But actually, they're blinded because they're tiny little things that work really well now. And of course, I had one, and I was more devastated about that than whether I was going to live or not, or how the op went. But as it turns out, how I dealt with it is the question, really. Is they hammered me with chemo. They had to heal first, the op, and then they started a course of therapy. And I had 2 lots of chemo. One's oxaliplatin, which is a form of mustard gas, believe it or not. They used to call the contents of that. They used to use the mustard gas in the First World War, and so really heavy stuff. Another one called fluorofoxylin. And so I had 2 doses of that on a regular basis for months and months and months, and it has done some damage to me. I drop my keys constantly. I've got numb fingers and toes, and my bones are not anywhere. I can't do any sports. I'm dancing. I've taken up ballroom dancing. Yeah, I've been doing that for nearly 2 years now. I love it. Me and my lady. And I absolutely love it. Foxtrot and waltz and tango and rumba and all that sort of stuff. It's soaked up because, I can't do the contact stuff, and like I used to love going to the boxing club, innit? And I can't do anything like that anymore. But what actually got me through the chemo, because that was your question really, was they said they don't know if I was going to live or die, and my daughter was there, my oldest daughter was there, and so the consultant said, "Do you want the chemo?" And she said, "He's having it." So that kind of made it. The most difficult thing was telling my children. I found that really difficult. But my oldest daughter came around with me, and we did all that. I was terrified, but what I got in my head was, because I couldn't control the outcome, I narrowed it down to 2 outcomes and 2 choices. One is, this is what I'm gonna do if it ain't successful and I'm gonna die. This is what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life, and this is what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life if it is successful and I survive. So I narrowed it right down to having some kind of say in it, rather than it be, I didn't want to try and control it because there was no control in it, but I wanted to have some say in it, and I befriended it. And I was going up and down to the hospital. I went down to about 10 3/4 stones. I'm 6'4". It's not a good look. All muscles gone, muscle waste, and no strength. Shitting myself a lot. All that indignity, and I didn't have a lot of control over stuff like that a lot. And then a stoma bag and what have you. But I embraced every part of the help that was given. I involved myself with Macmillans. They were out of this world. They put the stop on all the financial leakages, because I had to stop work. So they held the banks off and the mortgage people off and stuff like that. They were out of this world. Involved myself with people who suffered with the same stuff. Done it again. They were like men who have stomas. I started talking to them because it's a pride thing again. They were absolutely gutted, more so about that than the cancer a lot of the time, because they had this bag. So I spoke to them a lot. And actually, lo and behold, I got this consultant said to me, because I don't smoke and I don't take alcohol or don't do drugs, and at that stage I was 14 odd years without, with a very clean body and a healthier body, even though I wasn't doing any more sports. And they said they could reverse the bag even at my age, because I don't really like doing it any older than 55 to 60, because it doesn't work. But because of the, no drugs, no alcohol, my healing strengths were good. And they said you go could put, and so to this, so I had it reversed. I got quite used to it, to be honest with you. I quite liked it in the end. It was really convenient.
Does sound like you've always, or a lot of your life, or later life, had positive mental attitudes really helped you.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, there is a saying in there: misery is optional, and we can sit in the cold comfort of familiar pain, and you know, there is the things, isn't it? It's what I'm saying really is acceptance, gratitude, and action really is about being taken purpose, having a purpose with your life. Because this day and age, people are sitting there staring at their iPhones, watching television all day long, not getting out and about. People used to have hobbies, didn't they? And I mean, some people do. I'm not going to be overly critical, but we're kind of enmeshed in a very consumer-led society with our little things to do of our own. That's why I like doing the dancing. I can't do none of the contact sports that I used to do anymore, but I can dance around the village hall, and I'm not going to break too many bones doing that, hopefully. But yeah, I have got a positive outlook. Um, you know, I do get blue, and I can't keep it up all the time. But you know, I've got fantastic people around me. Yourself, my Frankie, you know, and my children, you know, my grandchildren. They just light me up whenever I video call them. They're just hilarious. I don't even have to speak. I just watch them, and they're brilliant. My son is. You know, he's had his ups and downs with stuff in the past, but he's blowing. Oh, oof, nearly. There you go, choked. He's blowing me away with what he's doing. You know, he's standing on his own 2 feet. He's keeping the job down. He's committed to that. He's got a nice flat. Absolutely idolises his daughter, and he's making some serious changes in his life, and it's amazing to watch. And then my girls are just doing lovely things, and it's nice to be able to participate and be privileged enough to be in their lives in whatever way, shape or form. I can't do as much as I thought I could do before, but actually the less I do, the more quality I have in the things that I do. And I can't charge around all over the place. I'm glad I can't, because it gives me enough time to just appreciate the things that I used to ignore. I love it. I love my life.
Someone rang me on here about 5 minutes ago, and I think it paused and then it started again. So hopefully it got continuous. But is there anything you'd like to close it with, Pete? I don't like to say advice, but yeah, go on. You got any advice just in life in general for me and for anyone else who
Yeah, well,
just
yeah,
maybe
because
struggling with their thinking?
well,
With their thinking, if this computer here
well,
isn't wired
yeah,
right.
well, nothing is permanent, right? Life is impermanent, and so whatever you're going through changes if you're willing to step one foot in front of the other. I know it sounds very deep; it's a bit of a profound statement, and it's a little bit dark. But you know, in regards to suicide, one of the things is sayings is suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And
Yes.
you know, given that a lot of men have take that route, and that nothing is permanent, and we don't know what's coming next round the corner, good or bad. But you know, if we're awake to it, we got half a chance, and you know, we're not the worst people in the world. So, I mean, there are some people who we definitely don't want to be. We want to try and avoid, but actually, generally speaking, every person on this planet makes mistakes. And you know, if we can communicate with other people and the issues that we've got, you know, in whatever way we can, and we may need help to do that, that we can get through pretty much anything. We're quite resolute as human beings. I know how far I've been, sort of gone into the depths of depression in the past and thought, nah, I've had enough of this. And I'm so glad I never went that way with it, because you know, I have my difficulties. I have puzzles to solve, not problems. I don't really like calling them problems. And but you know, like I get another day, and I love my life. I love my life. I love talking to people. You know, I love being cheerful around people best I can, and I find people really interesting. And that's a long way
Yes.
from the little kid that was standing at that classroom door who didn't want anything to do with the other kids there that were my age. So it's taken me quite a long time to feel comfortable in the company of others. My daughter's Laura sent me a birthday card a while back. They know what I'm like, and it was. She said, "I thought of you." What did she say? She said, "This one's for you, Dad." And it was a card that said, "Would you call a group of people?" And on the other side it says, "A no thanks." And that's me, I used to be like that, but now I can't do you lot. I know you had your thing and you'd run with a crew sort of thing, and I did to a certain extent, but I did like to be away from that. I wasn't great in company, but now I find human beings incredibly interesting, and yeah, I think I could pretty much sit down in the company of anybody. And I used to be, low self-esteem. I can't go there. I used to pick faults in people so I didn't have to be their friend. Fantasize about, make up stories about what I thought they were like. So because I felt threatened by them because they might have had more money or might have been more academic,
Yeah.
academically intellectual. That used to get me all the time. But I sit around with people of all walks of life now, and we see the faults and failings in everybody when we see the faults and failings in ourselves, and then we sit a lot more comfortably there. So it's all right for it. There's a place for everybody.
Well, young Peter, on the eve of a new season starting tomorrow, I'm gonna sign off now. Wish you all the best.
Up the colours.
Thank you for bringing me over the Arsenal a couple of times. I did appreciate it, and we may go again. We'll see.
Yeah, we might do that.
And I'll catch up with you very soon.
All right,
you
no
very
problem.
soon.
God
Thank you
bless.
for telling your story. Bless you,
All
and
right.
I love you dearly.
Yeah, you too. Man. You
Yeah.
too. Love you loads.
And thanks for doing this podcast. I think it's your
All right.
first podcast.
Yeah. A little bit uncomfortable with it, but I love my life, and I will talk about it.
Pete, all the best. I'll talk to you very soon.
Adios.
Thank you.
Bye, mate.
Adios. Ciao. Ciao.